The third day into the 10 best days of summer is kicking off strong at the Champlain Valley Fair in Essex Junction. ABC 22's Zoe Peterson shows us how the fair's midway is celebrating the region's agricultural heritage and lively entertainment. So now many reports are saying that she hopes to get within 15 or 10 points of Donald Trump. They would consider that a victory here in New Hampshire, and they could ride that into South Carolina. And then in Super Tuesday in March, they're hoping, they call that a fertile ground of candidates, of potential electors for Nikki Haley. They're hoping that they can really take that and run with it and potentially pull off a big upset in this 2024 election. Haley took the stage, man, almost 3 hours ago at 8:19 on the podium behind me, and she spoke for about 25 minutes in front of a very feisty crowd. Feisty, the best word for it. She stepped on the stage because the race was called for Donald Trump, but this was nothing of a concession speech for Nikki Haley. In fact, it was much the opposite, and the crowd loving that and supporting her every step of the way. As you were saying earlier, Lauren, the current percentage is 55 to 43% of Trump. That still puts Haley within 12%, which is about what she was hoping for after tonight. We'll see if that percentage stays about that. Haley started by thanking her political supporters like New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu and former candidate for Senate Don Bolduc. She also spoke about how she is the last one standing next to Donald Trump. Very proud of that. Above all, though, Haley made it clear she is not going anywhere. She's hoping for her first primary win, and she's pulling out all the stops. Already has a $4 million ad buy campaign to go to broadcast across all South Carolina counties. So she's hoping to make some headway, start to close that gap even further. Of course, Super Tuesday coming up shortly after that. After she got off the stage tonight, she did tweet, "Donald Trump's only strategy is to lie about me and my record. That's not going to work in South Carolina." We are experiencing an after-work rush here at Ward 5, and in fact, I spoke to the ward clerk here, and it's been steady throughout the day. He said, and in fact, out of the 4,500 people who are registered at this ward, about 3,000 of them, a little over actually, have already cast votes. Taylor Viles and Isabel Shoneman reporting live from the top of J Peak. We're less than 30 minutes away from totality in the 2024 eclipse, and the skies are still blue. Most important question of the day, guys. Do your teachers know you're skipping class to be here?
50-50. They canceled. I like his answer better.
For some people, this day was about a solar eclipse, and it was for Bryn and Sean here too, but it was about much more than just that. Tell us about your wedding in paradise.
Oh my God, we started planning this back in July 2022.
And I was just noticing this is about the same level of light that it was at about 3:24 this afternoon, but of course,
maybe a little bit more light right now than it was.
maybe more light right now, but the sun is setting here from the J Peak Base Lodge. We are at Copley Hospital in Morrisville. You can see these big water tankers right behind me. These are actually just helping out the hospital. They use 16,000 gallons of water a day. I was told the Morrisville Congregational Church also has drop-off zones with maybe bottled water, and well water is able to be drunk. Correct?
Correct, yes, that is true. So if you're not on the municipal water, you're actually in pretty good shape.
Mariah Bean and her 3 young children were some of the first to come here and get help, and we're going to hear right from them on the story about how they escaped the dangerous floodwaters at their home and came to safety.
At 6:30 in the morning, we woke up and everything was completely covered in water.
And I'm like, "Mama, there's a flood." And she's like, "It's probably not that bad." Then she's like, "It is that bad." Oh my goodness, this is a lot. I've never seen a flood before, so I was like, mind exploded.
My kids and I had to be rescued in a canoe by my neighbor. No life jackets, obviously, and so that was very scary. Having, my almost 2-year-old in there with my 8 and 10-year-old.
We made it through that situation, which was very scary.
We had to be canoed over to Main Street and then driven over to here.
I'd rather be here than at my house right now because A, I like it here and they have cool stuff.
Yeah.
And B, no water.
The downstairs is completely inhabitable for at least a month. And everything was displaced, upended, everything. My car is destroyed. I've never taken for granted the fact that we are all safe. We are all good, we are all safe, we're all healthy.
Well, this shelter is still welcoming people, even though the floods have ended, and it was run originally by volunteers from the community, but now, as you can see over my shoulder here, the Red Cross has taken over to lend a more experienced hand. 10 people are without a home after a fire broke out in Burke, New York. We're told this happened on Thursday on Depot Street. 5 adults and 5 children were affected. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The Red Cross was able to help out by offering shelter and food to those involved. And a scary moment caught on camera. A hot air balloon had to make an emergency landing in Hartford, Vermont after it stalled in flight. 5 people were on board at the time, according to Valley News. Traffic was reportedly shut down for about 20 minutes. No one was hurt. Well, you're taking a look at Washington, D.C. right now, where thousands of people gathered to pay tribute to a champion of civil rights. Today marks the 60-year anniversary since the March on Washington, where MLK Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Even 60 years later, that can still give you chills. The March on Washington is credited with helping pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The legislation outlawed discrimination based on race. Tonight, a woman who marched on that day 60 years ago is reflecting on Dr. King's dream.
Yeah, in many ways, yes, it did come true. In many, many ways. However, of course, you know, we are still in the struggle. We're still fighting the battles. We're still trying to integrate into a society that did not accept us in the beginning.
The National Park Service says about 75,000 people were at today's event. Well, people across the country are paying tribute to a man who left his mark on TV for decades. How folks are remembering Bob Barker after the break.